the Loft, the connection we have is really strong. Like I said, that's 46 years, and I still have the same love to see each other, and we hug each other. Like I said, David, he instilled in us that love, that it really, all the ones that I know, it's still with us. We live it. So I think I'm thankful.
Great. Today is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Who are we speaking with?
You're speaking with Gina Michele Stovall, AKA Energy. That's my my name these days. It's a reflection of who I am. But thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to get right into it. What does a loft mean to you?
Ooh, great question. And I thought about that. I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of this. And I thought about the Loft and the first time I went and what it meant to me and what it means to me. It's a huge part of my life. I went the summer of 77. I just turned 17 and literally changed my life. The Loft was my safe place. It was family. It gave me, those were some challenging times in my development. I graduated from high school at 16, moved out at 17, thought I knew it all and was very naive. And the streets taught me well. And the Loft gave me someplace safe, because back then, this is the 70s, early 80s, it was that New York, between crack and AIDS, it wasn't going to end well. And so coming to the Loft every Saturday really gave us, had a sense of family. I may not have known everybody's name, but I knew everybody's dance style. And we were always so glad to see each other. Like after a long week, it was like we came together. And there meant for me, it was someplace magical. It was someplace that literally it saved my life. When I'm looking back on it, it was like, I don't know what I've done without the Loft. And it's still such a huge part of who I am, the dancer that I am, and how David Mancuso, he instilled, our mantra was love saves the day. And it's on my voicemail to today when you call me. That's how I live my life. It's like love is the highest vibration and it's the only way. So when I think of the Loft, I have such fond memories and I look at it like, yeah, it saved my life. It definitely was my family back then. Yeah, blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. And Loft, we were definitely a family. So yeah, back then it was everything to me. I still hold the memories dear.
Tell us about the first time you went to the Loft. Describe it for somebody that's never been there. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you smell? What did you experience? What time did you go? Who brought you there? What were you wearing? What were they wearing? What was being played? Like, paint a picture for somebody who's blind.
Oh, yeah. The first thing that let's back it up, because I'm coming from the discotheque days where wearing pantyhose and stilettos and waiting for somebody to ask you to dance, the guys, it was totally different than anything I had ever experienced. It's like, it was someplace magical. What hit me first, I want to say, is the balloons. Well, you said, coming in, let's take it back even further, just coming to the place, because there was no marquee, there's no lights, like, on the outside, it was average. You wouldn't know it was a club inside. It was actually David Mancuso's home. And so from the outside, I was like, where are we? And where is this place? I didn't know. And it didn't open until midnight. And I lived in Long Island, Hempstead.
Who brought you there?
My cousin Juanita. And backing that up, though, I went to the Buttermilk Bottom the first time. My coworker brought me, and we're still friends on Facebook today, and I always thank him. And he brought me to the Buttermilk Bottom, which Nicky Ciano was the DJ. And they were all in the same genre back then, the underground club, the underground movement. But literally that changed the trajectory of my life. Like, I had never experienced anything like it. Was just freedom. Everybody was in their own zone. Everybody was dancing. It was freestyle. You didn't have to wait for somebody to ask you to dance. It was it blew my mind, literally. And my life has never been the same since. And so from the Buttermilk Bottom, that opened up the door for the Loft. And the Loft at that time was at 99 Prince Street, right there, Prince and Mercer. And like I said, it was David's home, and it was 2 floors. And I was a downstairs dancer person. And I loved the upstairs. The upstairs was full of balloons. And that's where David was. And I very rarely saw David. He was in his, but when I did see, to me, he looked like Jesus. He had the long hair, and the way he moved the crowd and moved us, like I had never, like there was no mixing. And it was only him. There wasn't a lineup. David played all night, and it opened at midnight. And we didn't get there until like we took the 12:03 train out of Hempstead. So we get into Penn Station by about 1:45. And by the time we took the train down to Prince Street, we roll in there about 1:30. And even then, packing for the Loft, that was something different. Like going to a regular club, you just wore your clothes. But going to the Loft, you packed a bag. You came in with your street clothes. You couldn't tell my mother I wasn't going to a boyfriend's house or something. She couldn't understand how I was going to some place I was going to dance, packing a bag. But that's literally, you wore your street clothes in, and then you changed into your dancing clothes because you were going to sweat. And back then I was known for my genie pants. We wore like parachute pants, anything loose, because there was a lot of movement. And so a lot of cut up t-shirts, that's what I was known for. So you dance, you come in, you change clothes, you sweat all night. Like I said, downstairs, it was real intimate, but those were the best dances were. I might be a little biased because I went to the garage too, and I love the garage. I went to Better Days, Zanzibar's. Like we were all family back then. You didn't have to choose. Like I went to the garage on Fridays and the Loft on Saturdays. So, and on Sunday, we'd all meet up in Washington Square Park and we'd all dance. But for me, I might be a little biased, but the Loft, we had the best dancers. Like I really, like, especially some of the guys, I would sit there mesmerized downstairs. And I think back on, they made me the dancer I am today. At this age, had just turned 17 then, and now I just turned 63. So that's literally 46 years. And I'm still able to twirl and kick and split. And I still have, and I know that comes from dancing with the best of the best. Like those fellas down there, oh man, they trained me well. So the Loft, what I could sum it up. And then also it was no liquor license. That was also another thing. You know, you go to the club, you're just going to get a drink at the bar, none of that. There was no liquor license, but what it was, there was a bar, but it had a big bowl of water and a big bowl of punch, which was the X-rated punch. You could see the tabs of acid floating on the top. And there would be fruit, granola bars. There was always something to snack on. And but yeah, I definitely drank the punch. Everybody was on. I can't speak for everybody, but me and my circle, that was part of the whole ecstasy of it was taken. We'd be on that tab of acid or mescaline, or somebody, it wasn't a lot of drinking, not on my part, but we had our own thing. We literally danced all night. We'd start, like I said, I get in there about 2 a.m. We didn't come out of there till noon. No, it was definitely, the sun was up. People were going to church the next day. And we were just coming out the club. But once again, though, you had your backpack. So you washed up in the morning and put on your deodorant and took your little bird bath in the bathroom and put on your street clothes again. And then we was ready to hang out for the day. We went to Washington Square Park and danced. Oh my goodness. And that's where, like, we might have went to different clubs during the night because the garage were over, they had their section, but we came together and we were like one big family. And that was always like the park on Sundays was everything. So it was just that era. It was just a lot of the one feeling, the vibe it was just a lot of love. That's all I remember. It was like, not saying that we didn't have our, like, because at the world at the time, it was a crazy place. New York was definitely, like I said, crack and AIDS and everything that was going on. But in our side of our little bubble there, and it was house before house had we didn't have a name for it, but it wasn't called house music back then. It was underground. It was stuff that you didn't hear on the radio. We knew that. So it was like what garage music we heard at the club. And then it started, little by little, started getting leaked on BLS. Frankie Crockett started coming. So we'd have some, but David, like the music, David Mancuso was literally, he was a, what do we call him? Oh golly, it just flew out of my head. How he conduct, the one that maestro, there you go. The one that conducts the orchestra, because that's how he used to conduct us, and the music he would play for us, like stuff I would never have heard normally. Like it could be from jazz and gospel, like it was my favorite, and I was just listening to it because I was getting in my meditation, but War, City, Country City has to be probably my all-time top 5. And that is a long song. And if you only built for You Gotta Be, But We Go, and how he would take us on this journey and the story. And during different times of the night, in the morning, like about 6 a.m., he'd start with a different vibe, and like the dancers, we just flow with it. And literally it was a magical time. So for anybody, I could paint the picture all day, but it really was, you had to be there. It was just the feeling of it from coming in the door. It was $9.99 to get in. You choose to get your penny back or not, but that was $10 back in the 70s going into a club. So that was kind of hefty. Well, it wasn't, we didn't mind paying it because it was well worth it. But those days, and you definitely got your money's worth. And just the experiences and the friendships that were like, we're still friends today. The ones that are left, we've lost a lot of people. But the ones that are left, we really, we have such a camaraderie and a love for each other. Like, yeah, we know each other. And just by the way we dance, you can tell I Loft her. We just got a different style, I think.
Describe the difference between upstairs and downstairs at the Loft.
Great question. Upstairs, I loved it. It was the balloons. It was just full of balloons. It reminded me of heaven. And you were closer to David, and it was great. The party upstairs was good. It was dark, so you had that kind of mood to it. Downstairs, though, I was a downstairs girl. Downstairs was where all the action was for me. Like I said, that's where all the dances were, all the fellas. Like I would literally sit there. Karate Chris, Fast Mike, Flame, they had a group, the City Steppers, Junebug and Juice, they from Long Island, Loose Louie. It was just amazing. And then we had some bad females too, so we would get in there, but it just downstairs and the lights were on. It wasn't any dim, so it was spotlight. I remember Stacy, he would have it, and everybody had their own style. Everybody, like it was just downstairs for me is just where all the action was. I just love the height of it and the movement. And so they would kick us out at a certain time in the morning, though. They would close the downstairs and they make everybody go upstairs. And so that's when I would go upstairs. That's usually like 8 or 9 in the morning. But downstairs, I definitely, and that's where the bar was with the punch and the water and in the bathrooms. And yeah, that's what all the excitement was for me. All the meet and greet was downstairs. So, and upstairs, that was a party. That was a different vibe. It was definitely, the music was hot, the vibe was good, but downstairs for me, it was just more, I guess, the social. We'd all sit around. There was no chairs, there was no seating. So everybody sit around Indian style on the floor, lounge out, you have your bags. So yeah, it was just one big old family. Just camp out, and that's where you were for the night. That was your little spot.
How often would you go to the Loft?
As often as I could. I would have gone every Saturday had I not been a new mother. I was a teenage mom. So Sean was born in 79. So motherhood, mommy duties, but I had my mother and my sister, so they helped me. So they gave me a little break that I could go out. So I would say every other week, because it wasn't just going, like when you went out, it was a production. It wasn't going out for a couple of hours. Like literally, I would go out and wouldn't come back. I would leave on Saturday and wouldn't come back till Sunday night. Because once again, you partied all day Saturday, come out Sunday, and then you hung out in the park all day. So I was coming back Sunday night. My bag was packed. My mother did not get it. Like, well, you couldn't tell her that I was going to a club. Like, what? So, but it literally, I went and I definitely, the Valentine's Day party was always up. That was the anniversary party, because the Loft it started February 14th, 1970. And for anybody that does, and we have this ongoing battle with Chicago, and it really is not, everybody has their own story, but I know, and a lot of people always start with Larry and the garage, and not taking I love the garage. I was a member of the garage and the Loft. You didn't have to choose. And so, but I like Friday nights. He played differently on Saturday, but Saturday was the guys' night. And so it was a different vibe. Like, so I went to a couple of Saturdays at the garage, but I would always end up at the Loft. Like about 4 or 5 o'clock, I would be making a beeline out of there because I wanted to get to the Loft. And so during that time, it was just Christmas, Halloween, and Valentine's Day. Those were our favorite parties. And so, but other than that, it was every Saturday. So I went as often as I could. Like I said, if I could have, I would have gone every Saturday. But yeah, there were some people that did that. But it was definitely like you missed it. You look forward to it. We went snowstorms, right? There was no, yeah, the snowstorms were the best the best parties, it seemed like, because we went through so much to get there. But when you got there, it was like you're so glad to see everybody. So yeah, I went as often as I could.
What's the biggest misconception about David Mancuso?
For me, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He gets skipped over sometimes. I don't think that and I'm gonna, as long as I have breath in my body, I'm gonna hang the banner high for him, because literally, if you know the history of it, and David in his heart, like he opened his home, like the Loft opened in 1970, and that was after the Stonewall riots. In the 60s, it was against the law for two people of the same sex to share the dance floor. So the Stonewall riots, Stonewall was a gay bar downtown. I don't know where I was before my day, but the story is that David opened his home. It was a safe place for people to come. And it was his home on Broadway. That was the first Loft. And then by the time I came in 77, it was 99 Prince Street. We had moved to Prince and Mercer, which that was my home. And then unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but we lost and we went to Lower East Side, and it just never was the same. But for me, David, that's my only thing. I know people give him credit, like musically, he was a genius. The music at the Loft was like so clear and crisp. That music system, like, I'm not a DJ, I'm a dancer, but I know a lot louder is not always better. A lot of times they want a boom, boom, boom. And the Garage had a great sound system. I used to dance in the speakers. I don't think I'm hard of hearing now because I'm dancing in the speakers. But the Loft, it was the sound was so crisp and clean. So David was a genius when it came to music. And then his selection of what he played, and then how he moved us, like literally he was, and then opening his home the way he did, that just had that hospitality that always stuck with me. And so he was a quiet man. I can't say that I had a lot of conversations. As much as I saw him, he was in his zone. He was in his, like, I'd never interrupted him. Whatever he played, I wouldn't dare. So I watched him from afar a lot of times, and I spoke to him, but I can't say that I ever had any long conversations with him. But he knew my face and he knew me as a dancer. We had a relationship. The DJ and the dancer is something special when it's done right. And so, yeah, like I said, he's made me the dancer I am, and I'm a snob when it comes to music and DJs because I've danced with the best of them. So for David, he will always be first. I will always, like, whenever they start talking, start talking to history, and if you don't start February 14th, 1970 with David Mancuso on Broadway at the Loft, you haven't done your homework, because that's where everything evolved from. And so that's my only thing. I don't think he gets the credit that not many people know him as he's not as popular, I would say, as Larry in the Garage. We were smaller, but for me, I'll take 4 quarters over 100 pennies. I like quality over quantity. The Garage was great for what it was, but it was a parking garage. It was huge. It was a lot of nooks and crannies and rooftop, and it was a lot. Loved it. However, the Loft was smaller, and it was that cozy feeling. It was family. Like, you pretty much knew everybody. It was hard to know everybody in the Garage. I can't tell you everybody in the Garage. Now everybody and their mama went to the Garage. Let them tell it. And maybe they did. I don't know. It was too big for me to tell you. We had our core groups that we hung in, but the Loft pretty much, it wasn't that you saw, like, especially if you hung out, you were a regular. So we knew each other. So it just made it more special to me. It was more intimate. It was a different vibe to it.
Can you talk about the sense of community at the Loft? How did this environment foster relationships?
It has lasted a lifetime. It really has. Social media has reconnected us, and it's a great feeling. We have some, and who knew at that time, like at that, we were kids, we were hanging out on Saturday night. Like who knew we were making history? Like it's so special now, that time and space. I don't take it for granted at all. And so the community that we've built, like I said, of course, you know, life took us different ways. We all grown, we're kids now, and the ones that are of us that are left, we really cherish it. Like social media, like I said, that's reconnected a lot of us. Some won't get on social media, and that's fine too, but we see each other, like we get out more. For me, I'm a Coney Island dancer. Nothing beats the energy of New York. Like I live in Houston, I've lived in Atlanta. I left New York in '88. My husband was in the Marine Corps. Yeah, New York, it wasn't going to end well for me, so I had to leave. And that's actually when I left. The Loft by that time, it had moved to the Lower East Side, and it had lost. Like when we left, I hung in there for a while, but it was not the same feeling. The dance floor was horrible. The neighborhood, just it was different. So but the loyal ones, you know, we tried, but I had to leave New York. It wasn't going to end well for me. So I've lived, like I said, the house community, I was removed from it for a long time. I missed the 90s, you know. So when I came back to reconnect with people that literally we grew up with, like I spent 10 years of my life with, it's a great feeling. We've lost a lot of us. So the ones that are left, like there's a group of us from Strong Island that they didn't think Long Island, I guess, and people don't want to admit it, but Brooklyn is Long Island. So is Queens. It's all, they just imaginary line, but they hate to admit it, but we're all on that strip of land. So, but Long Island always got a bad rap. Like we didn't have, like, I don't know what they thought of us, but we had a nice community. Like we were strong, and we represented at the Loft. There was a lot of us. So we're coming up on our 43rd reunion. We call it, it's Wiggle Wednesdays. We used to have at the Native New Yorker, and the same core group of them, we all went to the Loft in the garage. So we're still all together. And this year, every summer we have a reunion. It's invite only, but it's really special. We're very grateful to still be here. And so we take advantage of it. So that the Loft, the connection we have is really strong. Like I said, that's 46 years, and I still have the same love to see each other, and we hug each other. Like I said, David, he instilled in us that love, that it really, all the ones that I know, it's still with us. We live it. So I think I'm thankful.
David Mancuso's sound system is legendary. Can you describe this sound quality and how that contributed to the overall experience at the Loft?
Whew. Yeah. Like I said, not being a DJ, but I know as a dance, it was so clear and crisp, and the way that he played, that was also the downstairs energy was really like banging on, they jumping up and banging on the vents, and there was air ducts and just a lot of hollering, a lot of call. It was just, the music he would take us places, just oh my, it truly was a journey with him. Like I said, it was so clear and clear. That's all I could remember. It wasn't loud and booming, but it was beautiful. And it was so, like, as a dancer, it's a dancer's dream. Like I used to like dance on top of the notes and the floor and the whole ambiance. It was a whole, yeah, the music was everything. I didn't realize that at the time. I've learned that the sound system was legendary. I guess I took it for granted back then because that's all I knew. Well, no, I take it back because I did the garage. That sound system, like I said, it was loud because it had to be. It was a bigger space, like I said. So that was a different, but the Loft, it was just, he didn't need that booming. It was just, yeah, it just clean and crisp and clear. And you could feel every note. So that's what I remember most about it, especially upstairs, you were really close to it. But downstairs, like I said, that was an energy too. It was just a frenzy sometimes. He'd have us going crazy.
So David was really good at sequencing and selecting music. How would you describe his DJ style, and what type of music did he play at the Loft?
He was not like I said, there's no mixing and no scratching and I love that now, because I like to let a record play out from beginning to end and hear, take you up and down, like going back to City Country City. I want to say it's like 13, 14 minutes. That's a long time for a record, but he played it out. And if you could dance, it's not for the faint of heart. The real dancers, that's when we came out, because it takes you from the highs and the lows. And oh my gosh. So his choice, and then he could do gospel. Oh, stand on his word. I remember Clark Sisters. We definitely had church in that, and we the jazz. Then he would go into stuff that I would never heard. I don't know that, like, I wasn't a DJ once again, so I didn't know the titles of songs. I just knew what I knew. I knew it was coming. Like, it took me, I was a grown, probably 20 years to know The Mexican is the name of the song. But that, I knew that as soon as you hear that beginning, and that would be an early morning Sunday song he put on. Like, he also, the timing of his music, James Brown, man, by the time, I don't care where I was, I could be changing in the bathroom. That when he counted off, 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time that the beat dropped, I got to be on the floor. Like, everybody, all of us would drop at the same time. And it was so funky. He would take us, like, it was no telling what he would play. Like, literally, and it expanded I love all types of music. But then my father was, he was into jazz. And so I grew up listening. So, but yeah, David, no telling what you might get. Like, and I so appreciate that. And he definitely wasn't, like I said, what you compare to a DJ, it wasn't a lot of show. It wasn't cutting, scratching. He was a mastermind. Like, he played all night. It was only him. It wasn't that's a good night. That's 12 hours. If you start at midnight and go to noon, but how he did it, I'm amazed when I think back on it. And he took us through, like, and every song isn't for everybody. You would have your times, and he would go through his, and then, but he read the crowd. He knew how to play for us, and he knew what we wanted, and he would give it to us. So there was you couldn't put him in a box. Like, I don't know what he was going to play, like, but whatever it was like, it was going to be special. I didn't care what he played. I trusted him. Like, wherever we going, let's go. I'm ready.
Talk about celebrities. Did any celebrities come to the Loft?
I remember Eddie Murphy more so because he was from Long Island, and we actually lived in the same apartment building. He was from Roosevelt, I'm from Hempstead, but when he was on Saturday Night Live, he lived in the same apartment building. He was on the 5th floor and I was on the 2nd. So Eddie used to come after they would tape Saturday Night Live. And there's been rumors of I'm sure there's been plenty, but nothing like the Garage or like 54, like Studio 54, that type of thing. We didn't get a lot. Like, when you came to the Loft, it wasn't so much about the celebrities. And if they were in there, I didn't know them. They probably were upstairs. But that's the only one I really remember, because Eddie used to come. But other than that, I can't tell you. And we didn't have shows, like the Garage, I saw so many people there. It wasn't that type of, we didn't have that kind. It was like, literally, it was his home. We were downstairs in the basement, and then it was the first. So we didn't have all of that. So if celebrities came, I didn't see them. And if they did, they would just come in a party and be free and not be recognized. So, but I'm sure they were there, I guess.
How did attending the Loft influence your taste in music?
Like I said, I think I'm a snob. I think it spoiled me. I really think about it now, because I'm actually the house mother of Atlanta. I got that title 5-6 years ago. I'm the reigning. It came from Indigenous House with John Dennis. He was the founder of that, and I hold it near and dear to my heart. But he saw my light early on, and that's one thing. I'd never heard of being a house mother and getting an award. It's a plaque, beautiful glass plaque with my name engraved, but really hit me about it. It says Indigenous House respectfully respectfully acknowledges Gina Stovall for a lifetime of freedom on the dance floor. And that brought me to tears, because freedom on the dance floor is truly what this is for me. Freedom on the dance floor. And dancing is the way I've learned, is a form of meditation for me. All meditation is not sitting still with your eyes closed. Like, dancing is when I tap into my higher self. Like, I go into another, like, literally, I can feel the ascension. And so David really, he spoiled me early on, because that's what I was accustomed to. Like, and that feeling, it was definitely a high. So DJs, not saying they're wonderful DJs. There's great DJs. There's plenty of them. Do they all make me like, I dance because I have to dance. I dance because like I have to breathe, I have to dance. It's my release. I've learned that about myself. So I dance, but not every DJ moves me. I make myself dance because I have to dance. Like, if I come out, because I don't come and sit on my phone, and I can stay home and sit on my phone. So when I come out, I come to dance, and I'm gonna dance whether it's 1 or 1,000, because I don't dance for people, I dance for me. And literally, it's a release. Like, when I'm in my zone, I'm in a bubble. There's no autism. My youngest son has autism and nonverbal. There's no bills. There's no life. It's just me and the music. And I'm dancing on top of the notes, and I'm there. And I was like, it's like no other feeling that, and I'm so thankful at this age that I'm still able to do it. And I plan on twirling till I'm 100. So like, you don't stop dancing when you get old. You get old when you stop dancing. I can never imagine myself not dancing. And so I know that came early on. David did that. Like, the Loft spoiled me for a lifetime. And I'm so grateful to have experienced that. Like I said, at that time, who knew? Like, we were just hanging out, like going to the Loft. That's what we did. But now looking back on it, it was a special time and place. And it can't be recreated. And it's not meant to be. Like, everything is a season. And that season, I'm thankful to have been a part of it. But it really did set the tone, and it set the bar high. So for my dancing and my listening pleasure, like I like vocals, a lot of music now, and how they broken it down, and all the different, like, soulful house and deep house and different gospel house, just a lot of different, how they separate it. I don't get into all of that. Like, I just like good music. And I don't like to hear the same thing over and over. And a lot of that time, like, it starts feeling really repetitive when there's no vocals, there's no break, there's nothing that, it just takes me to another level. So when I think about it, it's like, I'm blessed, but then again, it's like I'm spoiled. So but I'm choosy now with my going out and where I spend my energy. So yeah, I'm getting ready to go to Chosen Few though. So that's going to be exciting. That's always good energy. So yeah.
How do you think the Loft parties have influenced today's club culture and music scene?
Good question. I don't know. Because I've never seen the Loft recreated anywhere. Like, it was something really special. And I love it was exclusive because it was a member only type thing. You couldn't walk off the street. And it made it really special. You could be a guest, like a member could bring a guest, but you're also responsible for your guests. So that how, like, David had it set up, like, and not having a liquor license and just the whole vibe of it. I haven't seen it recreated anywhere. People have tried, and they have, the reunion parties, which apparently it's really big. David went over across seas, and he has a whole different following. Like, the Loft parties, I haven't been to a Loft reunion party. I go to the garage reunion parties, but I haven't been to I always miss it. And so I don't even recognize the people anymore. So I don't know, a lot of the originals are still going. But the influence, like, I've never seen it recreated in any place. I don't know if it could be recreated, from the balloons to the music system to the people. We really made the party. And that's what we got away from. Somewhere, the DJ wasn't the star. Like, now, like, they have to have lineups and who's opening, and it's a lot of ego. And the DJ, like, somehow became the star. I don't know. Like, for me, it was never about the DJ. it was about the music. I didn't see David most of the time. I didn't see Larry. They were up in the booth. Like I didn't, you weren't sitting around watching. You weren't on your phone. You couldn't even have a camera. You better not get caught with a camera. Like that would get you 86 out the club. Very few people have pictures. Like if you see pictures in the club, yeah, they're really special. It wasn't captured. And as much as I got a couple that I cherish, but I kind of like that now because everything wasn't so exposed. We had this, it was not a secret society. It wasn't a secret, but we were exclusive. We were definitely, like I said, you had to be a member and people, very rarely did I bring somebody in with me. Like you're responsible for your people that you brought. And I didn't want to be bothered, like worrying about if somebody's having a good time. Are you ready to go? Like, don't bother me. Like, I'm not leaving out till the sun come up. It's not a party unless we coming out. The sun got to be up. We going at least till 8 or 9. So, yeah, a good day it would be 11 or 12. So, the Loft was just something really special. I haven't seen it. Not saying it can't. There's probably other really special clubs too, but I can only speak from my experience. And the Loft, I've never seen or experienced anything else like it.
What was your reaction when the Loft closed and shut down?
Well, before it died for me. Like I said, when we had to move, when we lost 99 Prince Street, that was our home. And so we went to the Lower East Side in Alphabet City. And like I said, the loyal ones, we tried, we went, and but it was different. And so, like I said, that was late 80s. I left New York in 88 and the Loft was still open, but it was on the Lower East Side and it was a shell of itself. It wasn't anything like David tried, and I give him credit for that, but it just wasn't the same. Besides the split level made it special, but even then, like just the building itself was dark. The energy was it was depressing. The floor was messed up and yeah, it just didn't have, so I left in 88 before it actually officially closed. The garage closed in 87 and I was there for the last party for that, but I didn't really I can remember the last night at the Loft, but it wasn't like a closing party. It was just my last night of it. And it was just a dark time. At that, we had gotten one of our favorite dancers, Perry. He was one of the greats, but Perry had, and I was engaged at the time, Duke and Gina. We were one of the Loft love stories. We met at the Loft and we were engaged. So we had Duke and Gina, but Duke and Perry was shot and Perry was killed and Duke, they blew the back of his arm while he was in recovery. It was a lot going on. So it got really dark. And
this happened at the Loft?
Huh?
The shooting happened at the Loft?
Oh, no.
Okay.
They were just two dancers at the Loft. No, it happened in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. No, but they were two Loft members. Like Perry was he was big at the garage and the Loft. Perry was one of the best dancers. Woo! Perry could dance his ass off. He was known for it. So when we lost him, it hit us really hard. And then Duke, he was another one. Duke and Perry was two peas in a pod. Like they all had this group, the PLOs, the Pussy Lovers Organization, whatever. It was a whole group of them. Henry, oh gosh, it was a whole, Stacy. It was just all the fellas. So losing Perry, he was like, it took the wind out the sails about everybody. Like it got really dark. And so everything changed after that. And I stopped going and I left New York. So that I left, I guess on a low night. I didn't really have one great, like the garage, we had a great, last party and make it last forever. And I didn't go out of the Loft like that. So I kind of eased out, but it'll always be my favorite. I have that was at the very end. I have much more great memories than the end of it. So I don't even dwell on that. But at the end, it did get dark for a lot of us.
Last question. How would you sum up the legacy of David Mancuso? How would you sum up the legacy of the Loft?
David, a genius, truly a maestro. He was his spirit, he had a very kind, sweet spirit, quiet, just he let his music speak for him. He was a man of little words that I know of. I'm sure his friends probably had, but I didn't know him like that from what I saw. Like he spoke through his music. And the Loft, what he created, oh man, it was created from love. Like I said, opening his doors to his home on Broadway, and where it started, and then where it became, he literally created a legacy. And he did that literally from his heart. Love saves the day. That is so, it has stuck with me. And that's truly who he was. And he instilled it in us all. And all the Lofters, I can attest, we live by that. LSD, love saves the day. And so that's what I can't give him enough credit and enough kudos of what he created in our history. It was a special time and place.
One more question. What advice would you give to the next generation?
Really, I'm excited about the next generation. I'm passing the baton. It's in good hands. We have some brilliant young nephew, DJ Amir and Jordan Pope, and there's a few of, like, we're passing the baton. Because when I think, I was 17 when I came to the law. Like, if we don't pass the baton, it'll die with us. So it's important for them and to see their love of it. So that's what I enjoy, dancing with them and sharing energy with them on the dance floor. I would give in, my only advice is just freedom. That's what this whole house music scene, what I could sum it up in one word, is freedom. And when you're the music, let that be that for me. I don't want to see that die. Like I want to see more of, we don't get a lot of new music that I'm more prone to the classics. I know a lot of people don't, and I guess that's where my heart is. I can listen to classics. I like some new stuff, but mainly, like, nothing hits me like the old. So it's just, they just had a different kind of meaning to the music back then. But the future, if anything, it looks bright, and I'm excited, and I'm passing the baton. And for the new ones coming up, I just hope that they love it. Like I wish for them that they could have the experience. I don't know if there's any places like what we had back then. And a lot of, it's in clubs now and parks, and I see a lot of stuff. So I don't know if that era, maybe that's gone, but the music still lives. So as long as that's there, I have hope that it will forever live on, that we've created a legacy that'll live long after us. So I think it's in great hands.
Is there anything that I didn't ask that you want to share about the Loft?
Nope. I think I conveyed it all in, like, yeah. I think I summed it all up. There's no more that I could possibly say about it. Just, it's magical, and I'm thankful. I am so grateful. Like I said, it's made me into the dancer I am today. It gave me a safe place. It literally saved my life. It was some dark days back then. Like I said, the 70s and 80s New York was a wild time. And so the Loft, every week, it gave me a place I knew that I was safe, and I could express myself, and I could be free, and I could forget the world. And I'm thankful. So yeah, that's about it. I can sum it up. It was magical.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for choosing me. I know you got plenty of choices, and I am honored. And so, yeah, I did not take this lightly. So to be a part of this legacy and be able to speak on it, to have a voice, I look at myself as a gatekeeper now. I'm an elder in the community, and I'm embracing my position here. So I'm aging gracefully and embracing it. And with age comes wisdom. And so I look at myself now, I'm still here for a reason. And so I thank you for giving me this opportunity, and sending you light and love. Smooches.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.